Welcome to Unconventional Asians, where we feature stories from Asians who dare to be authentic to show you what's possible. I'm your host, Clover Lamb. Are you having relationship issues due to the coronavirus lockdown? Are you having trouble finding a partner despite all your efforts in following those conventional advice? If you were raised in a Western society like myself, you'd be shocked to discover this.
We're trying to learn to be more independent and then so you have to take care of yourself emotionally, financially, physically, so that way you up your value. And then you're saying this is actually now shooting us in the foot.
It has, as right now it's just a mixture of masculine, feminine energies, and you don't know who you are.
In this episode, we'll discuss why women trying so hard is turning men off, how our society and culture has been telling us the wrong things which drive our partners away, what a high-value woman actually mean, how can we effectively communicate with our opposite sex speaking their language, and why should men stop using logic to argue with women, and so much more. Click to subscribe to our channel for more videos with Unconventional Asians giving you no bullshit and authentic advice. If you're unconventional and want to watch a controversial conversation today, then keep on watching. We have a relationship expert, Robin Choe, a Korean Canadian who dives deep into relationship theory. He's going to give us some really practical tips we can use immediately for our relationships. He's an award-winning author and with a podcast that has over 100,000 downloads. With that expertise, let's get right into it.
Welcome to the show, Robin.
Hey! It's a little clapping sound here, but thank you for having me, Clover. This is awesome. I'm glad to come onto your show and share a little bit of unconventional wisdom from some Asians.
Yeah,
let's talk a little bit how we met first.
That'd be funny.
So 2017, I found myself on Bumble, and going through the whole dating thing, and then Clover and I matched, right? And then we ended up meeting at a coffee shop called Yellow Cup Cafe. So Clover and I met. We had, I guess, a quote unquote date or meetup, and I guess whatever ended up happening. But now we're here now, we're friends.
There you go. Hey, so it doesn't have to be like a romantic relationship that comes out of Bumble, right?
I was just about to say
like-minded people, and then it's great. I guess during this time of the coronavirus, a lot of people are stuck at home, and apparently the divorce rate has shot up quite a bit in China since the quarantine. So I think it's just partially because people are not used to spending so much time together, and then they finally realize the relationship might not be working. So we need your expert advice on how we can not kill each other during this time of the quarantine. And for the single people out there, what do we do? Online dating, we can't see the person. So we need some advice from you.
I think a lot of the reasons why couples are so powerful and why they're so good together is because they have their own separate boundaries. They have their own separate life, so to say. And then when they return home, that's kind of like their safe space with each other. But what happens in quarantine is everything gets homogenized. So you're working, sleeping, eating all under one roof. And you have no escape from each other, and that can cause a lot of problems. The first things that you got to analyze is, do you need alone time? You're going to have to create areas in the house where it's only you. You guys, if you like to strum the guitar and she likes to paint, then have separate rooms for that so that you don't have the same space for that, and then return back to each other at an agreed upon time. But at least communicate to each other that I'm going to be over here, you're going to be over there, I'm going to be doing my thing and you're going to be doing that thing. Another aspect is, have you been hiding a lot of problems under the rug? Is everything that you guys been fighting about in the past recently, have you guys been agreeing to disagree, that harboring resentment against each other? And then when the most trivial thing sparks, you use this as your arena to lay it all out there. And that causes a huge rift because, for one, with true communication, with true understanding comes forgiveness.
Yeah.
And with forgiveness, you can't have any resentment harboring in the background or festering.
Well, not just Asian culture, but maybe in my own experience, sometimes we have that passive aggressiveness and not being able to voice our boundaries or our needs in the first place because our culture told us to do so. But then we're still humans, right? We still have emotions and needs, and one day you blow up and then it becomes the problem.
That's a shadow trait. Passive aggressiveness. It's a shadow trait.
Okay.
It's a normal trait that comes up.
Yeah.
It's just we got to be mindful of how we use it. And
Yeah.
another thing, like you mentioned, for Asian women specifically, especially with how the culture was brought up, either put up or shut up. That's kind of like
Exactly. And
it's
that's
kind of
kind
like
of
the
the
rhetoric.
problem. And the guy on the other side, it's like, I didn't know you were feeling this way this whole time. It's like, why are you sucking it up in the first place? And then there's the blaming game back and forth, and that's not helping when you're in the argument. How do we healthily communicate with each other? Are there some tips and actions that we can take to talk about our boundaries?
Sure. I mean, 90% of communication is nonverbal. So when people bring up communication, they think it's words. That's only
Yeah.
part of the story. Communication starts with the setting, the atmosphere, how you present yourself. If you're angry, or if the other person is angry, that's the setting and that's the environment. So you have to wait till that kind of displaces a little bit. It's not there. Come from a calm place, a
Yeah.
content, happy place, because you're going to be able to think correctly and the words will just come out better.
Never have a discussions out of emotions because that's blinding you from your logic, right?
Yeah, the moment you start to get angry or the moment you get sad, just tell your partner, look, I need a moment to calm down, or I need a moment to myself because I got to
Yeah.
deal with this, because I know you can't stop me from crying. I know you can't stop me from making me angry. So I have to go do this for myself. And it's not because I don't care about you or this conversation. It's because I do care about this conversation and I care where this goes, and I don't want it to lead this way.
You have to be responsible to take care of your own emotions first. I think a lot of the times we expect the other person to make us happy or make us feel better, but it's not up to them, it's up to us. And when we come back to this calm and collected place, then we can have a healthy discussion where we become a team. It's a win-win situation, right? Instead of like,
100%.
I win, you lose, or I lose, you win, which a lot of times is the dynamic between couples are not in a healthy relationship.
Yeah, it's okay to compete with each other in healthy ways, right? Like compete with each other on how well you guys fold laundry to
Yeah, so you can help each other become better. Right.
Exactly. It's not like those kinds of things are healthy, but if you're fighting at each other to win an argument, that's when you guys are tipping the scales like not in your favor. That's when you guys are saying, I'm more important and the team is not more important.
Yeah.
Right?
And nobody's more important than the other.
Exactly. And then you become in an arena against each other, fighting against each other, as opposed to being on the same team, trying to put the same ball in the net, as opposed to, trying to take the ball off of each other and score it on each other. Like, what are you guys doing?
I just want to talk about a little bit of our own experiences because I know we're both divorced. I was divorced about 5-6 years ago. How about yourself?
Yeah, it was about the same time in your early 20s or your late 20s. The chances of you divorcing are extremely high. We're just developing still. We haven't even understood our attachment styles. We don't even understand our own psyche. We don't even understand the opposite sex, their nature yet. And then we're running into these marriages and divorce, and then thinking we know it all and stuff like that. This is kind of why I step into the relationship space to kind of help other people, not just Asians, but other people who come from societies where marriage is pushed on you.
Exactly, I was going to say that. Yeah.
And when you come from those types of societies, you grow up thinking one-nightists, you grow up thinking soulmate, you grow up thinking I'm gonna have this white picket fence, 2 kids, a dog in the yard, the whole nine, right? And when you get to that place, you realize I was just doing this for the sake of others or taking in the generational culture from our heritage, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, except we lose a bit of our own identity through cultural identity. And I think what's great about this conversation here is that the unconventional way is to take what we love about our culture, our heritage, and not be influenced so heavily that this is who we are.
Yeah. We can
We'll
pick and
take,
choose.
yeah, because not all cultures are perfect.
Mhm.
Every culture has pros and cons.
Mhm.
We have the ability to not succumb to the cons. We can take the pros and roll with that.
Mhm.
I grew up doing the whole thing, trying to please people, and then ended up realizing, this is not true happiness. And, obviously the marriage failed because of that. And, there was a breakdown of all types of things, and I'm not pointing blame at anything. All I'm saying is these are the reasons when a young man coming into his own or a young woman coming into her own
Yeah.
think about that they should really, really start to dig deep and ponder a little bit more about who they are and what
Yeah.
they want, as opposed to what society wants. So my
Exactly.
divorce is a
100%.
wake-up call, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
super grateful,
Oh,
for
me
that.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I even wrote a blog post about it called Why My Divorce Was the Best Thing That Had Happened to Me.
Mhm.
And it truly was, right? Because like it make us realize and reevaluate your life and what you have been doing, which we have swept under the rug. A lot of people right now going through that coronavirus quarantine might be going through the same thing. Because now they have time to reflect on, oh, is this even working for me, right? Because a lot of times they're just distracted by work. This time together really make them figure out what they want for themselves.
That was some high-level stuff we talk about regarding relationships. But now we're going to dig really deep and ask Rob why men and women are butting heads in today's society. But first, we're going to figure out the qualities of what it means to be a high-value woman and a high-value man. Are you ready?
Okay, so my question for you then would be, what defines a high-value woman?
This is going to sound super misogynistic, okay? But I'm speaking for the men who have come to me and told me that I don't appreciate women who are like this. And I so elaborate to these very, very deep discussions about women and their nature.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
High value women don't sit in their shadow. They'll sit in their shadow for moments at a time, but we won't see them there. High value women can deal with their shadow perfectly fine on their own. So what's the shadow of a female? Illogical, irrational, passive aggressive, controlling, right? Enabling. These are shadow traits of the feminine that make a man very, very turned off. So what makes a high value woman is just taking the shadow, accepting it, right? Knowing that it's a part of you. Don't try to shame yourself for it. Understand and accept it, but deal with it on your own, and then raise yourself to a positive feminine state, which is loving, caring, nurturing, receiving, those states. Because when you're vibrating on that level, you'll see men for their shadows. Because you understand what your shadow is and you understand what the man's shadow is. So a man's shadow is different than a woman's shadow.
What is the
And the
man's
reason
shadow?
why, so the man's shadow is aggressive, abusive, heartless, emotionless, cold, also controlling, jealous, those. But the thing is though, we all have the ability to slip into each other's shadow. So for example, I as a masculine man can slip into a feminine shadow.
Yes.
Meaning the reason why I do that is because maybe I was raised by my mom and I saw the way she dealt with her emotions and she always slipped into her shadow. And so I thought this is how I'm supposed to do it. And what the danger is in that is I just reverse the poles in my hetero relationships. So for example, if I'm dating a very feminine woman and I as a masculine man step into a feminine shadow, what is a woman going to think of me? Doesn't want to have sex with a man who's in his feminine shadow.
Yeah. No, 100%.
It's not a turn on. And so and then on the flip side, when a woman can fall into the masculine shadow, so for example, a woman could be raised by her father, a tyrannical father, and then sees how the dad is always punching, throwing things, whipping shit, right? And then the woman falls into that masculine shadow, and a masculine man will look at that and be repulsed. Understand that they're there. That's part of masculinity. It's part of femininity. So men do this a lot. They'll think that because I'm this way, I need to expect my partner to be this way.
That's right.
And then,
Yes.
so you start trying to be like the guy. You'll step into that role a little
Oh
bit,
my gosh, that's
and
exactly
then
my marriage. Yeah.
he'll be unattracted to you
Yes.
sexually, intimately.
Mm-hmm.
And the reasons being is because, like I said, in order for sexual intimacy to occur, there needs to be polarity. There needs to be a very, very distinguishable masculine presence and a very, very distinguishable feminine presence.
Okay.
Now, I don't say this in the words of gender. I don't say that there needs to be a male and a female. My gay friends also tell me that the dynamic in their relationships is top and bottom. There needs to be an exchange of a giving energy and a receiving energy.
Yeah, for sure. So everyone has like both masculine and feminine energy. It's just the proportions in how you give and reciprocate, right? So feminine means you are receiving, and then masculine is giving. Is that what you mean?
More giving, service, do the freaking work as a man.
Right.
And the woman is responsible for having fun and nurturing and loving and warm, caring. Because if a woman steps into her masculine, right, it's very hard for her to, unless she's very, very emotionally intelligent. It's not to say that it can't be done. If you're extremely highly emotionally intelligent, you can step into a strong masculine role and then come out and be this warm, loving mother.
Yeah, and have both.
Because you and have both.
No, it's hard though, right? Because I think on both sides we're taught like different things and we're just confused, right? Like you said, like betaization of the masculine and the making a feminine more masculine. Like feminists right now are actually more masculine. It's not stepping more into being a female, but it's actually being more aggressive and all the masculine traits that we're taught with, right? So it's like, okay, what do we do? And so I appreciate that you made that distinction.
Yeah, master them all. We're creating defunct males and defunct females. So there's masculine women out there and feminized men out there.
Right.
And that's reversing the polarity.
So what do you think? Do you agree with Rob that our society has raised defunct females and defunct males? Drop a comment below if you agree or disagree. And let's get back to it.
Beginning it works. So a masculine woman and a feminine man, they'll get married. It'll work for a bit. And then what happens is, 10, 15 years goes by, they have teenage children or whatever, the woman starts making more money because she's in a masculine role or whatever. She starts making more money. So it makes more sense for the man to stay home, right? Right. So the man stays home and he starts taking care of the kids. The wife comes home in her power suit, drops the suitcase down, looks at her husband with flour and cake all over his face. The kitchen's a mess. He's got an apron on and she's turned off.
Even though that's like such sweet gestures,
Well, no, growing up, people want that. Women want that. They're like, oh, I want my husband to stay at home. And then they don't realize the long-term effects of what they're saying. He became the girl, she became the man, and the poles got reversed. Intimacy got lost because of that. She's repulsed. He's repulsed.
But then what if you find somebody who's like, say, for example, I'm like half masculine and half feminine. Can you find someone else like kind of the same? Then would that work?
Yeah, so there's a small percentage of people that I've been kind of thinking about and, so when I talk, I'm very polarizing. And the reason why I'm very polarizing is because I won't grab anyone's attention, okay? And not only that, people will think I'm wishy-washy, okay? But it's not to say that there's not a gray area. Okay, but it's good that you mentioned it now and I'll talk about it. There's always a gray area, everyone. It's not fucking black and white, people.
No, I'm always about that balance, always in the middle. So I was like, well, but I'm not one or the other.
Let me tell you something. There's a lot of dichotomy in the world. There's a lot of duality in the world, but there's a lot of gray areas as well, okay? So part of that gray area is trying to understand, okay, there's a guy who mastered his masculine. There's a guy who mastered his feminine. So now it appears that he's balanced, correct? It appears he's balanced, right? Just because he knows how to jump in and out, but he's not balanced per se. Okay. And so for you as well, if you have a mixture of masculine and feminine, you're not balanced. You just know how to use masculine traits.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, this is the gray area that we're coming across because it gets really complicated, right?
Mm,
We have to be very, very careful of the people in the middle
okay.
because
What are you trying to say?
they don't know who they are.
Right. Yeah.
They think
Because
they're
it can
balanced.
change on you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They think they're balanced.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to have an 80-20 ratio, in my opinion.
What is it?
And
80
that's
20?
yeah, like an 80-20 kind of idea, like
Oh,
where
even in
you're
masculine and feminine energy, it's interesting. It's like
well,
80-20
I'm
rule for
gonna
everything.
well, I'm not gonna say that that's the in relationships, it's all theory. There's no
Well, of
type of
course.
rules. There's
Yeah.
kind of like a guidance or like a
Mm-hmm,
guideline.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I would say a great mixture is to be more of who you are and embody some of that because there are going to be life situations that you're going to need in your life. So, for example, as a
Yeah.
man raising a baby, you don't want to be all cold to the baby. That's
No,
going to really, really mess the baby up.
of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
especially a son or especially a daughter, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you want to be able to step into that nurture 20% of the time so that your daughter can trust you and think that you're safe and secure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's important, right? Because if you are coming off whipping shit around and being aggressive and angry and all the time stepping into all of your masculine, even your
Yeah.
shadow traits, your
Right.
daughter is going to be scared of you. She's not
Yeah.
going to listen to anything you
No,
want to say in the
exactly.
future,
No, it's true. Yeah.
right? So it's better to, balance
Mm.
yourself by
Yeah.
being more of who you are, but understanding
Mm.
where the feminine needs to come
Got
into
it.
play or where the masculine needs to come into play.
We first have to work on ourselves, on our shadows, own it, accept it, and then know how to get out of it and be in our
Step
positive
into your
feminine
positive.
or
Exactly.
masculine. So be
Yeah.
who you are, then technically is actually get rid of all the social conditionings that we have been taught of who we should be. For example, women being more feminist, which is actually more masculine, and feminize men, right? So that we can be back to our true selves in that case. That way you can complement the masculine and the feminine.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'll use this analogy. Picture an empty field, like that's ready to be cropped. You're the planter of seeds.
Yeah.
And so you have a bunch of seeds in your bag, and you're gonna walk through this field and you're gonna plant the seeds that you want to plant.
Mm.
Now, why I use this analogy is because you're not gonna see things grow right away.
True. It
You're
takes
gonna
time.
have to wait in
Yeah.
order to reap the benefits of what you've sowed.
Yeah.
And so be patient is another thing.
You have to water it constantly too, right? You can't just like plant it once and just leave it and then expect it to harvest when the time comes. You still have to put in the work in between, right?
Well, for the feminine, it's a little bit less work. For the masculine,
You think
yes, you're
so?
gonna have to go. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the positive feminine is receiving energy, right? So you
I
have
guess
to
I'm just
do less
working too hard
work.
then. I'm always like work harder, like keep putting in
You're
the.
in your masculine, you're in this like leadership, discipline kind of like mode.
Mm,
That's the positive masculine.
right.
Yeah. And
You mean I
when a
can
woman
actually step back and not do much? Oh.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, the more receiving you are, and that's the energy that masculine men want. We want to be able to lead,
Right.
right? That's how we feel most powerful, and women feel the most happiest when they're loving and nurturing something,
Mm-hmm.
and being receiving of gifts and receiving of love and receiving of energy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the man should be responsible of giving all of that. So it's
See, but
about
then sometimes it feels selfish though, because the women is also because the nurturing part is also the giving, right? Like in that sense.
It's because a man who's made you feel like that, a man who's taught
Mm,
you that this is selfish for you to do this. Because a man, like I said before in this conversation, men want women to be like them, not selfish,
yeah.
right? And we get this confused, and like we have to understand that women's nature is receiving. We can't think that they're going to reciprocate and give back. That's
Right.
not a part of their nature.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you asking a woman to do something that's not a part of their nature and getting mad at her for it? And then calling her out and saying, and this is what I mean, we're raising defuncto females and defuncto males because we're telling a woman to be something she's not.
Right.
And that creates problems later on. right? Because that reverses the poles, like I said. So essentially, the men are being stupid and saying, "Hey, go be like a man." And then she shows up as a man, and then we're like,
you
"Oh, I'm
don't
turned
like
off."
this. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're doing the same
like,
thing to men, right? We're just doing that to
exactly,
each other. It's like, why?
exactly,
So we're gonna stop that. Well, I like this conversation. It's great. For the couples right now, so what should they do to help themselves in this situation of being quarantined together and being stuck?
You for listening to my rant of what I think true relationships should be.
But I appreciate it because I don't think that's what's the conversation that's out there, because we've fed this.
Fuck.
Right?
I already know this is not the conversation out there. That's why I have to be careful.
That's what it's unconventional. We need this stuff.
Yeah, I also have to be careful of the things I say.
Right.
Because there's going to be
we all do, but
angry feminists, and there's going to be angry men's right activists. You know,
Right.
both left and right at my door saying, "What are you doing?"
Right.
You know, but the thing that you guys can do as a couple in quarantine is take this advice that I just gave you. Who are you stepping into, and have you guys reversed the poles in your marriage or your relationship?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you're gonna have to do a real deep dive. And I'm sorry to have woken you up to this, but if you truly love and care for your partner, this is gonna seem like nothing. Okay? Because on the other end of that is 50 years of beautiful and unhappy, but just this accomplishment of lasting forever for so long. People who I've interviewed who have had 40, 50 years in of their marriage, and they all tell me the same thing. I wouldn't have traded it for the world. Statistically, by proof too, couples live longer than their single counterparts. Love is a hormone, love is an action, but love is also a feeling. And I think your physiology changes when you're loved and you are giving love. Now, with that being said, look at your partner and forgive him for all of his shortcomings or all of her shortcomings, because we don't know what we're doing. No one has ever taught us how to do certain things. For the last 3 generations, this has been going on. So your dad and your mom have also been feminized men or feminized or masculinized women. This is the last 3 generations, and only now we're starting to see that there's a disruption of things. And then the quarantine is just a wake-up call for you to see all of these problems coming to the surface, okay? The reason why you guys aren't intimate with each other is probably because the sexual poles have got reversed. Are you stepping into your masculine role? Are you stepping into your feminine role? Answer those questions, and if you guys are, then there's other things that are affecting. You have to now devise the words and how to say things, right? So a part of the things that I teach in communication is always the positive sandwich theory. Always like, hey, Clover, I really love your hair. It's amazing. I love what you did with it. But one thing that bothers me is the color. I wish that if you just maybe change the color a little bit, your hair would be fucking amazing. It would look fucking smoking hot.
So you're sandwiching.
I'm sandwiching.
Positive, negative, positive.
So if I said, hey, Clover, your fucking hair looks ugly, you'd be on your defensive mode. You'd be like,
immediately. Like, what do you mean?
I'm not even going to listen to anything you have to say. Telling you in an almost encouraging you in a positive way.
That's right.
But expressing what my problem is with you. One of the things that, couples fight over is like, I know I'm going to use one from my own. It'll open the cupboards and I won't close them. I would say to my husband in that situation, right, is be like, what
can
really
I try?
turns me
Actually,
on?
Can I try this? Can I try?
Okay.
Doing it to you?
You want to role play? Yeah, I do live events.
Yeah.
It's called Show Me the Love. And this is what we do in our live events. We will actually take these kind of scenarios. And so if I'm your husband and I don't close the cupboards, on you, what would you say to me?
You're such an organized person all the time, and you know what? It just like it doesn't serve you if you like keep the cupboards open, right? So if you like close it, like everything would be more organized and clean, and just everything will work better. Like, so I don't know. Does that kind of help?
I'd be a little bit dark. I was like, no, tell me what to do. No, so I would be like, what's really, what the most attractive thing I find about you?
Okay.
And then he'd be like, what? When you're organized and you're clean and you take after it, you know what I mean? And be like, but the problem I see sometimes is that you forget to do things, and that cupboard over there drives me nuts when you don't close it. If you close it, then you can resort back to being that wonderful man that I know you to be.
Nice.
You do that, the guy's just like, fuck yeah, I should do this. Because if I want my wife to be attracted to me, not only that, she's bigging me up. She's telling me how great of a man I am. It's these positive kind of like encouragement that we never got as a kid, that we don't know how to give to our partners.
Yeah, I think in Asian culture too, actually, because I think not
huge
every
in Asian.
Asian, but a lot of us, basically we're taught with what negative reinforcement, I guess. Like they always pick out what is wrong, never anything positive to say, right? And for them, it's actually affection. It's like showing love to us by improving. If you're already a great person, if you do this, you'll be even greater. And that's a lot more motivating than saying that we're a piece of shit, right? Like
a desire and an attraction standpoint, like I mentioned out, like, like I think you're really super attractive when you're like this, but sometimes when you do this, it irks me and it doesn't make me think that you're like this. So if you do that, then I'll jump your bones, basically. Kind of,
right.
Now a man wouldn't say that to a woman. And the reason why I say that's the approach a woman would say is because women are supposed to be in their positive feminine when they give these kinds of talks and these communications. And so part of that is being, playful, alluring, sexy, fun. The woman was the type of girl who opened up the cupboards and never closed it, right? And I was going to say it to a wife, masculine role, right? I would just go and lead, and I'd be like, I'd close it, right? Embrace her and be like, oh, he would just say something positive about her positive femininity. She's like, I love how sexy you are right now, or something like that. Like, you look so amazing, right? But see what I just did there? I just closed the cupboard and I had to close that for you. But don't worry, I got you. But it'd be nice if you could just close that on you. You're showing by example, because what you're doing there is you're stepping into your positive masculine. You're saying, I'm not going to watch you like a child and make you go close the cupboard.
Right.
That's like, that's me in my shadow. Right? Instead, I did it myself, because that's what a man does, right? I with integrity. Then I embrace my feminine and tell her what I expect of her, and teach her and coach her on what I expect her to do. Not by telling her what to do. Women learn through emotion.
That's right.
Men learn through words. So I wouldn't go and say, hey, Clover, you know what I really like about you is that when a man does, and then use these words to kind of like rationalize.
Yeah, I'm like totally already in my masculine.
Like that doesn't make sense. It sounds great, but it doesn't make sense for you.
Right.
It doesn't hit home with you.
Well, learning because something new.
We have to understand the differences between men and women.
That's right.
Right? And we have to accept them for who they are, and accept them for, and lean into that. So I can't rationalize with a woman. There's no point.
We're not using the same operating system.
Exactly. When she's pissed off, I'll be like, look, I'll give you a couple of minutes to calm down. When you calm down, come back to me. And then from there, when she's happy and calm, I will be hugging her, embracing her, cuddling her up, making her feel very, very like appreciated because of what she did. And she calmed herself down and she didn't project that on me. And I'm super happy about that. And try to rationalize with an angry woman is what I'm trying to get at, right? Don't keep pushing the words on her.
That's it's not work. It's gonna do the opposite.
The different approaches, and quarantine is gonna bring these situations up for you. That cupboard thing is so trivial. Obviously, you're not gonna divorce or break up, but those things do irk people, and they add up over time.
Because, if you don't speak up about it.
Doing that is me stepping into the shadow traits of like the feminine, being erratic, opening it up and being okay, whatever, and then I gotta run, right? And I can't close this. I gotta go, right? That's erratic. Being in your shadow feminine is gonna show up in other areas of your life, not just the cupboard. Is going to see that you're operating from your shadow feminine, and she's going to be completely turned off. And that's where most of the issues come from. Even with men, a lot of the men's issues with women, they come from her being in the man's shadow, which is like cold, abusive, aggressive, angry. So quarantine life shouldn't be hard for couples. It should just be a time for you guys to really, really just get to know who you are at the core. Doing things in the way that other people wanted you to be.
And but that might not be serving them.
Exactly. It's time to step out of that.
Did that conversation give you a new perspective regarding feminine and masculine energy? It definitely gave me a renewed sense of what it means to be a female. But like anything, take it with a grain of salt and take the advice that works for you. Here at Unconventional Asians, we're all about being authentically who you are. But this definition might have changed after this conversation. What are those feminine and masculine positive and shadow traits again? Click the link in the description box below to grab a chart where we show you all those traits so you can refer back to it. This is part 1 of 2 videos with Robin, and the next video we're going to talk about dating life for single people who are in quarantine during coronavirus. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe, like the video, for more cool videos on these vulnerable topics. Make sure to check out our social media on Facebook, Instagram to have these healthy discussions among each other, see different perspectives. See you there.